Washington Shellfish Questers, Blake here. Russell and I are just enjoying some cones, tailgating style, here at Hunter Farms, right by historic Union, Washington. And I'm actually going to buy some oysters while we're here. And you might say, why are you buying oysters, Blake? You shuck them all the time. And that is because sometimes I want either smaller oysters, because in Washington State they have to be at least 2.5 inches across the shell, versus if they're privately harvested, then there's no restriction. And sometimes I also want the shells. So that's what's going on here. And I'm going to show you my favorite summer oyster recipe. The temperatures are going up. You definitely don't want to be slurping them, or you might get Vibrio, which is like a terrible, terrible case of food poisoning. At any rate, it's Oysters Casino. Before I go home to cook, though, Hunter's farm here is an actual farm. And, you know, I like to come here and buy ice cream and stuff, but it's just fun to look around, see the sights. Alright, it's a very hot evening, but very windy. Hopefully I don't have any audio issues. So you can do Oysters Casino in your oven, but I personally like to do it on the barbecue. To me, it's like a summer way to eat oysters. So this is just for me, so I'm just going to put 7 on here, and like I said, these are a bit smaller. I got all my ingredients right here by it. Alright, here's 6 oysters on the half shell. I tend to shuck ahead of time because really what it is that oyster nectar gets super duper hot. So a lot of recipes will say drain the nectar. I just kind of let the chips fall where they may. I probably have mine about half full of nectar, you know, just kind of what sort of falls out. Now it's real simple just to get them ready here. Really smell really good. Alright, just going to put on some Worcester. Oh yeah. I wish some of these had a bit deeper shell. That's another thing I should have mentioned, is you want a really deep shell. But a couple dashes of Tabasco. I'm using Frank's Red Hot sauce just because I'm kind of a spice wuss, so I don't really use true Tabasco on anything. Now I got some bacon I'm going to put on here. I'm probably going a little heavy on the bacon. I mean, it basically makes it like a can't miss if you put on that much bacon. This is bacon that I just fried up and cubed it up. Then the last ingredient for now is a little bit of green onion. You know what? I probably should do this at the end with the green onion. Alright, so I'm letting those guys cook for about 10 minutes, and I'm going to actually put the top back down. According to the Department of Health's website, you want to cook oysters to 145, or any shellfish 145, to destroy Vibrio, which I think I mentioned it earlier, maybe I didn't, but if I didn't, it is basically like a terrible case of food poisoning. And unlike marine biotoxins, you can actually kill Vibrio by cooking it. So you want to make sure the internal temperatures of shellfish, oysters included, reach 145 if you're eating them, you know, in the summer, or basically when it's hot, you know, when you're more likely to get it. In the winter, you're a bit safer for sure. And that's when I tend to slurp. Alright, it's been about 10 minutes. Let's see how the oysters look. Oh, yes. Look at that. They're all cooked to perfection. Oh, it's blowing. Yeah, that looks kind of okay, huh? There we go. So, if you like hot sauce, now would probably actually be the time to add it. I added it before cooking, but I also am not a big fan of hot. So, if you like it, now is when you'd put on actually 3 or 4 dashes. I'm going to put up the recipe right here. Feel free to just, you know, pause if you want to see what it is. There's a lot of different ways to do Oysters Casino, though. This is just one incredibly simple way. And the only thing I do to it now, that after they're cooked, is I like to add just a grate of Parmesan. There we go. And that, as they say, is that. Alright, I'm on my front porch now. Back porch was too noisy. I'm going to slip one of these down. I did let them cool for at least 5 minutes. I think that's probably why a lot of people like to drain the nectar, is it'll burn your face off if you just, you know, drink it straight off the barbecue. So with my method, if you leave some of the nectar in, then let them cool off for sure. All right, down the hatch. I mean, how could you go wrong? It's basically a bacon wrapped oyster on the grill with some greenery and a little Tabasco. Well, I guess that was Frank's Red Hot. Something to make it hot anyway, and a little greenery. And there you go. Great way to eat your oysters in the summer. If you're someone who would like to like oysters, but you don't, you know, you kind of have the self-hate thing going on where you like to eat oysters, but they just don't do it for you. This is probably the best way to do it because it takes away the sliminess to them, and there's so many flavors going on. You can barely taste the oyster. It's almost like a compliment, I guess, the way I did it with all that bacon. If you do it without the bacon, then obviously you'll get way more oyster flavor. But yeah, highly recommend it. Summer tradition for me. Thank you so much, and see you next time I make a cooking video.